Welcome, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Paul Dyck, coach and general manager of the Steinbach Pistons, a 15-plus pro career. We've had the honor of battling in the corners. We've had the honors of working together as I help with the Steinbach Pistons development. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well, JP. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Let's get to the nuts and bolts. How has COVID affected you personally?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure how long your show is today, but
I got all day, Paul. I'm not going anywhere.
I guess the two things we do have, or the one thing we both have, is time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been challenging, no doubt. I mean, this has been 3 months of uncharted territory for all of us. And as a coach, usually we have answers for our players and are able to give them direction with confidence. And so just so many unknowns and so many questions that we're not able to answer for our players during this time. So, yeah, like I said, really unprecedented. Obviously, we're hopeful to get going here again. But in the meantime, I mentioned to someone the other day, I wish I had a degree in psychology.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I would use it on myself as well as help some people. My biggest concern a few of them, mental health of the players. These kids identify as a hockey player and they're sitting at home playing PlayStation or whatever they do nowadays. How does that affect their mental health, and where do you see that going?
Well, that's right. I mean, I was just thinking about this the other day, going back to when I was this age, and I wanted to be a hockey player, and I spent a certain amount of time every day devoted to pursuing a career in hockey, right? And if that's working out, that's going to gyms that are not open to them at this time. Open ice at our arena, I jump on that, and of course, playing. And so, yeah, how does it's really difficult, I think, for the guys that have been able to stay active. Some have part-time jobs. That's been very helpful, I believe. But it's been really challenging for our guys, I believe, that are aspiring to play at the next level in particular. I think they feel like the clock is ticking, which it is. It's a small window for these players, right? And for athletes in general to prepare and give themselves an opportunity to get to the next level, right? So I can imagine there's a fair amount of anxiety that's creeping in. So we've encouraged our guys to stay busy and keep their minds occupied and work on some personal development. If it's reading, and you can watch videos that are hockey related that you can learn from and work on your IQ. And for a number of the guys, I think people in general have seen how many outdoor rinks there are. So I think the guys that have those have been very grateful for it, but largely they're doing that in isolation. In many cases, they're out there on their own. So the one great thing about our game is the camaraderie. Anybody that's played a team sport, when they're removed from it, what do they miss? It's not necessarily the game itself, but it's the people around, their teammates, and the great friendships that have developed. So that's one of the parts that's concerning, is they've been removed from their friendships.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that, being locked in the house for weeks on end, as opposed to being in a dressing room and heckling a teammate or talking about a stupid joke that he said. So team building, what have you guys tried to do to help that? Have you guys done Zoom sessions?
Yeah, we haven't done them necessarily as a group. So what we did in December is Booj and I spent some time. Booj largely put together some video of each of the players, maybe 12, 14 clips, but we dedicated 1 hour per player. I think there were 26 guys, just spending an hour connecting with them and talking and asking them some questions of what life is like at home for them right now. And if they're hoping that they open up and just kind of vent even. We don't have the answers, but sometimes just talking about it can release some of those anxieties, et cetera. And then also just to comfort them that, you know what, we just had 3 calls with 3 other guys, and they feel in exactly the same way you are right now, or some of the things they said are so similar. So, and then the guys have done a really good job of staying connected with one another. They've got their group chats, and the one benefit of video games is you can play against one another. You can communicate. I'm foreign to that world, but I know that that is one of the upsides of it. So we haven't done a lot necessarily team-wise. We felt like we wanted to wait until we got closer to getting an answer, but just spending that 1 hour with those guys that 1 week was good for us to just kind of reconnect on a little deeper level with them. And then also just kind of reassure them that, hey, what they're going through right now, what they're feeling is no different than anybody else. So it's not abnormal, but also wanted to get a pulse of where they were. And if they needed any help, we would certainly extend that to them.
Is there anything that stood out in those meetings? Like, was there one common theme besides being lonely or anything like that?
Well, you could tell how much they missed the game too. Yeah, loneliness was a part of it. But, you know, when we're removed from something or something's taken from us, you realize how much you appreciate it. And I think just like you as a player, when your career came to an end, even though it was probably your decision at that point, boy, you still miss it. And you realize how good that was and how much fun that was and how privileged you were. And I think the guys really, when we come back here, you know, I think in the fall, we already went through that where they didn't take it for granted. When they stepped on the ice, they were so excited, and the enthusiasm was like we had never seen before. So I think that's what it's going to look like again. Hopefully that's next week. But yeah. So it's just really, I think they have a true appreciation for the opportunity they have to play junior hockey, or they had.
We'll see. How about the passion or the fire? Do you think that's going to take a while to get back? Kind of like let's be realistic. They trained all summer, start to play, take another 3 months off. Do they just go, what's the use? And do you have to give them a battle practice or some compete to bring that fire back into them?
Well, that will be a part of the plan. So I've been giving this some thought too. So even here as coaches, when we get our players in the fall, they have put in a lot of time by the time they get to us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They're seeing guys like yourself. They're competing. They've spent months in the gym. They've gotten stronger. So we're not sure what it's going to look like. The level of preparation that we're going to be dealing with here now is the last time we were on the ice together as a group was November 2nd. Okay. So November 2nd until, let's say, January 25th, without spending time with their skills coach, with their conditioning coaches, with the intense training that they do in the summer.
I thought you yelling at them too, not just me.
That's right. That's right. I think there's some guys that have been pushing as much as they can on their own, which is never the same as someone actually getting that next gear out of you.
For sure.
So this is going to be something that we're going to have to monitor closely is what frame of mind are players in, what level of conditioning are we dealing with, and then how hard do we push each day. When we start camp, usually it's day 2 or day 3. Like we hit the ground running because our players are prepared. It's not 1975 where guys come to training camp straight off the farm.
Yeah, to get in shape. Yeah.
So, but we're going to be dealing with a little more of that because I know a lot of guys have not skated a lot. They haven't had access to gym equipment.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, do you think you'll have like 2 separate days? If this happens, we're here. If that happens, we're here. And then try and proceed to that? Or is it just throw everything in the air and go figure it out as you go?
Well, we'll have to be flexible. I think until the guys get here, we'll see where we're at. I know some of the players got together on an outdoor rink on Saturday and had just a scrimmage, and they talked about how tired they were after the fact, right? And the pace was high, and they felt like but I think and that's normal when the guys get together and you get good players together, they push each other, right? So they're going to be pushing each other more than they can on their own currently. They may think they're working hard. But, on a 20 by 40 sheet of ice in your backyard, you can't really open the lungs up an awful lot.
No, that would be good for you and I. We get across in 2 strides.
I can just do circles.
Stay in motion. Yeah. You see it in the NHL. We're seeing a lot of high-scoring games. How are you going to get your team back to playing team defense the way the Steinbach Pistons love to play, right? To play with that identity you might only have 4, 5, 6, 7 days of training camp to do all this. How is that possible?
Well, that's a good question. I guess that's where goaltending comes into play.
You put them both in at the same time?
That's right. Well, the beauty is that we're largely going to have the same team that we had when we left. And we were starting to understand, what we were trying to accomplish in the defensive zone, and not just in the defensive zone, our play away from the puck, I should say. Hopefully they haven't forgotten everything. Yeah. And of course, getting onto the ice, when you're trying to get in shape, sometimes your mind's not as sharp as it is when your conditioning is at a premium level too. So definitely expect a few hiccups. And you're right. I mean, the NHL right now, you're seeing some errors that from veteran players that you wouldn't see. You're not going to see in a month or two from now.
It's been very interesting, and you're trying to educate yourself watching games, and you're like, that's not going to happen next week. I don't even know how I talk about that right now, and I don't know where to go.
Yeah, that's very true. So we'll be patient. I think it's because I don't see us playing exhibition games, and usually you can iron a few kinks out.
Yeah,
with one of the exhibition games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, no, yeah. But at least there's thought of getting close to playing a game and lacing up the skates. My feet have been dying to get out there and bark a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think, and that's exactly, I think even for us as coaches, and I felt that way personally. I don't know if other guys would agree, but there was a little, in particular, early on when we got back, we're so competitive. You want to win every game. You want to see everybody practicing well and growing as players. And you know what, every day we want to get a little better. And as a group, we want to see our players do that individually. And there was a little more acceptance of off days, it seemed, maybe this year, a little more patience, maybe extending a little more grace to understanding what the players are also going through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that might be at another level now with the resumption of play.
Do you see the coaching philosophy changing, and not changing, but adapting, where, when you played and I played, it was, if you didn't do it right, you got yelled at or you just got benched. Now there is some grace time and some understanding of you're developing a player. There's more to the mental mindset than just yelling, kicking, and screaming. But now we're talking about a pandemic. Now we're adding on to it. How is that going to change coaching?
Yeah. Oh boy. That's a really good question, but it's a very relevant one.
I guess we'll find out. Basically, you don't know till you get there.
I know. One thing that's probably changed is we talk about things. We talk about the white elephant in the room more so than we did when we grew up.
There were things that I think when we grew up.
Yeah, that's right.
Was the end of it.
Or certain things that guys thought, well, what's the coach going to say about it? And he'd come in the room, and sometimes nothing was said. Right? It was ignored.
Correct.
And now I think almost everything is addressed, or everything's brought up where it's discussed. Which I really appreciate. I appreciate the openness now with players and the dialogue that happens. And it's just, there's more information, right? The players are used to hearing stuff from the coaches and having a voice in the room as well.
Yeah.
So this is different, but you know what? When we went through the situation with Humboldt after the incident and how traumatic that was for the players, but we had several heavy discussions in the room about it, where guys just opened up and were able to release emotions and thoughts. And there were friendships there that players had. But I recall how important that was, just having a sit down and talking about it. Guys could say whatever they wanted. And it was kind of all over the map what was starting to come out. But I think that was really important. So we might even do that here and just sit around the room and talk about how did you manage, and what were some of your struggles, and what did you find maybe that helped you get through it, and just share some of that stuff, because maybe that helps guys move forward a little bit and helps them just with their mental state of mind. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Look, Paul, I appreciate you taking the time to, I'd say out of your busy day, but it's only half busy now, to come have a COVID talk, and I appreciate it, and it's fun. And stay out of trouble, and then hopefully we can be back on the rink soon, pushing some pucks and barking some orders.
Yeah, well, I look forward to it. I think it's going to be a great day when we're back on the ice. So not just for the guys, but I know the coaches are. We can only our group chats are fun with our staff, but getting a little redundant at this point.
Yeah. How many big clappers are you taking down the wing for sure on the first day on the ice?
Heads up, tenders.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate this.
Yeah, my pleasure, JP. Take care.
Thanks.